and we're going to talk about glide baits.
Who throws them?
I got my box out. I got big glides, and I got small glides. Not that you can read that one. I got small glides. One hand fishing. Yo, what's happening? Eric Lau, what's happening? Turn my live chat on. Why is James late? Legit? Honest answer? Because I wasn't sure what we were going to talk about today.
That's true.
And we were figuring it out. That's the honest answer. The other option besides glide baits was forward-facing sonar, and kind of my take on it. Not quite ready for that one. I think I'm going to do that with a regular video and then do a live afterwards talking about that one. Because I kind of got a lot to get out. The goods and the bads and the uglies of it. Oh, Getsy's tagging in on there too.
Hey, hello, buddy.
So, topic of the day, glide baits. This is the time of the year to be throwing it.
Definitely the time of year.
Anywhere from pre-spawn to post-spawn. But definitely this time of the year is where you can get a lot of numbers of glide bait fish. Not necessarily the large. I mean, you can get the large, don't get me wrong. But you can get a lot of numbers with this. You can learn glide baiting really fast this time of the year with the responses from the fish. I guess we're going to start. Should we go by lakes? Different style lakes, different style baits. How do you think we should go about this?
Let's go to where it all began for us. Where did it begin?
So glide baits basically got started from, for us, they catch big catfish, says Getsy. Yes, they did. Gets caught a big catfish. Clear Lake or Berryessa? Berryessa on glide. Catfish don't care. It all started with what we call banana. It's River Sea 168. If you notice, the tails are gone on all of my river to seas. I actually popped the pin out. If you can see that, I popped the pin out, pull my tails so that they don't warp in the box. I can shove more into there and the tails don't get tweaked. And then I just shove a tail back in. For those of you who aren't know, there's a round side and a pointed side. Round side goes up. That's it, easy. I mean, this is one that I haven't even pulled the pin on and it's so brand new. Or I should say it's newer. This all got started in the very first video in this channel.
Yeah, very first.
And he caught a couple of fish on glide off of some rock up Puda Creek. In
like February.
It was January, actually.
Was it?
It was January. It was a warm day in January. Caught some. I think the first 3 videos of this channel, I didn't catch a single fish.
Yeah.
And it's not that I didn't catch a fish that day. It's that the camera was either off or out of battery or whatever.
Things were happening.
Yeah. It's just rookie moves. So basically what we're doing with this bait is you're throwing it in a position that no fish should survive in or should be in.
Correct.
Right? Like if you were a lonely fish hanging out in the water and you look at like that area you don't want to go, this is where you're throwing this bait.
Yes.
I got a question.
I'd fish a glide bait in the Delta.
Glide bait in the Delta tomorrow.
It's going to be windy.
With the weather, yes, for sure.
Yeah.
I don't know tide levels on that. If the water's high enough, run the glide over the top of the weeds or the weed alleys.
Yes.
If the water is low, you just run the inside alleys, outside alleys, run it by tule clumps, isolated tule clumps, things like that, back to put it in positions that a fish shouldn't be,
Right.
or a small fish shouldn't go because it looks fishy.
Right.
I'll be dead honest with you. My best retrieve for this is actually kind of a slow and steady retrieve and just let it wind. Second best is actually kind of like pump the handle so that you see the bait glide out and then kind of pause and then glide out, pause, glide out, pause. So you're like doing like kind of a wide, and this is the 168.
You're walking it.
You're basically kind of walking it.
You're walking it. That's the way I throw it. Is I do the.
Yeah.
I walk it the whole time, just a little bit. And with this bait right here, this is the light trout. You could actually see this one very well, right? Like I change glasses. I go to a lighter lens glasses to where I could see it better, and I could see followers. This bait is a very effective bait for also pre-fishing. Like I'll take this bait and throw it out pre-fishing just to see fish come up, right? And see what's following that and the size what's following the fish. And then that way I know what is going on. Another thing that we do with this is we take our pocket knives out and just shave the edges just a little bit to where they walk a little better, right?
Yeah, you'll notice on the river to see, like what he's saying is you'll notice that it walks left or one way really well, and then it kind of comes back right. And then it goes left really good, and then it kind of comes back right. The number one thing that we found is you actually take your pocket knife, which I don't have, and you scrape this joint on the inside. So if you're looking at this, you can see where my knife's placed, and I'm actually scraping this paint off of that edge. And if you take that back down to where you can actually see the clear of the bait, I'm not smart enough to operate that knife. If you take it down to where you see the clear of the bait, it'll most of the time clear that up, and it'll actually walk right to left. And if it's not going left hard enough, you scrape that left side a little bit more, and you can kind of tune that even walk by messing with that joint on the inside of that, so you can get a really good glide out of it.
You know, the 168s from River to Sea are a really decent beginner level glide bait, right? The hooks, the terminal tackle that comes on them are very good. I don't change these out. No. I'll run them. They're very stout. They'll hold tight.
I will change them when they get worn out. Yeah. And then I just throw triple grips. The KVD Mustad triple grips is what I change them to. I do change them to round bend sometimes, but most of the time I just run triple grips. Otherwise, budget-wise, this is made by 6 Cents. I just blanked on the name. It is actually, this is kind of more like a chopping style, which it's tighter bodied, so you can get more joint out of it. This bait is, I want to say like 20 bucks. River to Sea is like 20 bucks.
Yeah, I think it's 25 bucks.
They're less than 30.
Yeah.
Definitely less than 30. I really have a hard time paying a lot for glide baits with how often I cast them off or do something.
Well, you know, like 25 bucks, you're buying a Megabass jerkbait.
Yeah.
Or a LV 500, right? Like 25 bucks.
Yeah. Flow glide. Yes, I think that's what it is. Thank you, One Hand Fishing. It's flow glide, or I think that flow glider. Flow glider. So Milliken actually does a video about this bait, and he actually talks about how it was designed. The original person, it has no action out of the box. It's not that great. What you do with this bait, I don't know if you can tell, you can actually see the joint is completely shaved on this. So kind of like how River to Sea has this angle down right here. This bait had that angle down, and I shaved it off completely flush where it's flat with the body, and I cut it down with a die grinder. So what that does is that wakes up that bait. Before, it barely even wiggled, and the S on it was like super tight. if you shave that bait down, this bait you can burn in, you can hard twitch it, it is balanced right, and it has like a real slow sink to it. It has everything you needed, and all you had to do was shave that joint, and that's all it takes. And this bait comes alive, basically.
What's going on, Cody?
What's happening, Cody? So this bait is cheap. They're getting harder to find because, of course, Milliken talked about it. So they're getting harder to, I should say they sell out more often than they used to. Definitely caught fish on this. It's pretty good. Generally, we come from the tournament aspect. So we throw a lot of the 6-inch, 7-inch, which we'll get into our 7-inch preferred bait. But we usually stick to the 6-inch level. Now, pre-fishing, like he's saying, if you don't want to stick fish, this banana color can be really, really good at catching fish. But if you take it and put it in the wrong situations, where this color is not the best, you can get a lot of fish to come up and look at it.
Yep.
And all you got to do is see them. And when I say see them, I mean polarized glasses. You see the shadows come up behind them. When it comes to, this is a 6-inch bait, I have a story from Shuka Whale.
Oh.
It was behind Big Island. Last time the water was up all the way, so years back. I was throwing this in between the tree and the bank, like, I don't know, 10 foot, 15 foot of water. There was a gap.
Yeah, there was a gap.
There was a gap, and I was bringing it, and all of a sudden you could see from behind it, you could see this like Shuka wave where you just see
the water disturbance behind it.
That there's a wave, but no fish is sticking out of the water.
Right.
And you could just see that V wave coming straight for it. And I did the worst thing that you could do while I was slow rolling this is right before that wave got to it, I gave it 2 hard twitches. I don't know why I did it. It was one of those, oh, if you want to trigger the bite was already coming. It was closing on it. Should have just left it alone.
Just kept
Probably would
retrieving
actually know how big that fish was. I could not see it with my glasses, and it was throwing a wake.
Yeah.
So it had to have been like a foot down, still throwing a wake.
Yeah, the wake I would describe it was calm. It was probably an inch to inch and a half of water moving, going to it.
Eric, no twitchy.
Yeah.
Yes, no twitchy, Eric.
Yes.
That was my learning of no twitchy.
Right.
For those of you who don't know, I just fished with Eric, and I don't know how many times I saw on forward scans a fish would be following his bait, like coming up hot on it, and he'd give it a twitch, and then it'd just turn around and go back. And I looked at Eric, and I was like, stop doing that. Whatever you're doing, stop. As far as bigger baits than 6 inches, I do have the 200 size, which you can see is obviously larger for those who aren't familiar. And then I do have the Arashi Glide. I grabbed the wrong one. I have the Arashi Glide. I have not actually got a fish in the boat with this. I've been hit by it a couple of times, and I've got to see what they were. This color, I don't know why, but this color does better than like the bluegill one, and I'm not sure why. This bait has a lot to it. It has a couple things that it needs to it. I can't say I would recommend buying this bait, but it does a lot of good things, but there's still like some little things, little tweaks to it that I wish I could do. Like, it'll blow out if you go faster, like little things like that, that it's not a bad bait.
Yeah.
It's just not the best bait. Getz says, I need to talk to Manage about fishing on that. Who do I talk to? Getz is on the waiting list for fishing with me, and he's been on the waiting list for a long time. He yelled at me earlier today for it.
Today?
Yeah, today when I talked to him on the phone, he yelled at me for it.
I'll fish with Getsy any day.
Heartbeat.
Yeah.
So, to get into 7-inch baits.
You're going to talk about that one?
We're going to talk about this one.
Really? You're going to tell him?
We're going to tell him about this one. This is actually on Tactical's videos, too.
All right.
This is a Shine Glide. This is another cheap bait.
Yeah, real
that
cheap.
For some dumb reason works.
Really good.
And I don't know if you guys can tell. See that eye is kind of jacked up? Yeah. That's from tweaking it on things, yanking things in. I have another one that's jacked up from hitting a dock, but that's a different story.
Yeah.
These will split in half if you hit a metal pole at full cast 10 foot off the boat.
Yeah. This bait right here, I'll tell you, I think it's like $17.
Or 23 or something.
Yeah, it
in a
is.
minute we bought them.
Yeah. But this bait right here, I will throw that at Clear Lake any day. This thing straight catches fish. You could swim it slow, or you could swim it very tight. You could walk it really well. It's got an actual foam pad in there. I'll change the hooks out on this one though.
Yeah, the original hooks that come on those on the Shine Glides.
Yeah.
Do not use them. You will lose a lot of fish quickly. They look like stout hooks.
Yeah.
But you will lose fish for sure. Change out those hooks.
And me being a beginner when I was starting glide baiting, I was throwing this bait up near a Thule wall, bringing it right down to the Thule wall. And that was back before I bought the right reel. And yeah, something hit it. I set the hook. I was trying to reel, because when you hook fish with these glide baits, you want to just power them in. Don't let them do anything. We were told by a guy that throws glide baits, when they hit it, you want to start cranking it where they can't close their mouth, right? Their mouth is open, kind of like a parachute, and it basically pins that bait in there with their mouth, and they can't do anything about it. They can't go up.
They can't close their mouth to readjust. They can't wallow. Like, you literally are pinning their mouth open.
Yeah, pinning it and just bring it in and hope your net guy is right there ready to go.
Yeah. If not, you're boat flipping or whatever you have to do
right?
to get that fish in there.
So when I hit that fish and I started cranking, I didn't buy the right reel. I was just using a reel. The fish turned, went straight down, went into some stuff, and I lost it. Never saw it. But when I was reeling, trying to reel that fish through after I hit it, my line was just peeling out. I had...
Yeah, the fish is in control at that point.
Yeah.
And with these baits, especially the larger you go, you don't ever want that fish to be in control.
So make sure you go out and buy a reel that has a good drag system on it, that you could actually like power through some of these fish, right?
Yeah. And that was, so he was at the time was running like a 12-pound drag reel. I run a Super Duty 300. It's got 20-pound drag. You can get away with a Super Duty 200. That's by Lose, sorry.
Yeah.
It's by Lose. Not sponsored by them at all. It's just a good reel. And that 300, you can put all the power you want onto it and even some extras along with a good stout rod. I will say the number one thing about the rod though is you want to have a slightly soft tip. You want those fish to be able to eat that bait all the way. There's a lot of times that they'll actually come up and they'll kind of like side nip it. So you can actually see them come up and like side hit it, and kind of, they don't really close mouth on it. They're open mouth on it, and then you just get a hook on them. You want that enough time in that soft tip for that hook to be able to swing in and get a good grip before you pull on it to set that hook in. If you have too hard of a tip, too hard of a tip on it, it will just bounce off their mouth, basically, because you have too much pull against it. With that, it doesn't let that bait move into their mouth at all. It just bounces off of them. Yeah. So you want that softer tip. And that, like rods wise, everything's a little bit different for different people.
Yeah.
We don't even throw the same glide bait rod with each other, but what we have works for what we do.
Correct. That goes for basically everything that we do.
One day I'm going to do a video on rods, and everyone's going to be bored, or they're going to learn a lot. Depends on how much they watch.
Yeah, yeah. I think the only rod that we both like similar is our drop shot rod.
Yeah. Yeah, we just have the drop shot Fury 702. It's a $100 drop shot rod that
catches fish.
You can't go wrong. I know I missed some comments in here. I don't know if it was just people talking crap or if it was. Eric Lau, the doc, probably had it coming. Actually, I'm gonna tell a story about that bait, the one that I blew into pieces. I almost forgot about that part.
He blew it into pieces.
So, I was fishing Clear Lake with the Shine Glide in thread fin, throwing it across the rock bank weed patch. Okay. As I'm going through that, hey, grab that bait off that.
I am.
That's what you're doing? Yeah, I have the piece. So as I'm going through that, a 3-pounder comes up, eats it. I set the hook, 3-pounder snaps off. Or line snaps. Bad line tie, I don't know, whatever it is, right? And I'm like, damn, that's the only one I got. That's the only glide bait I have in that, and it was working that day. So then I'm sitting there sulking, and all of a sudden I hear a 3-pounder jump up, and there's the bait in its mouth as it's jumping. I said, oh, it's still hooked. It's still there. So, well, there's no way we're going to get it back. And then a little bit later on, we see it kind of like wallowing on the top and kind of like messing with the bait, trying to get it off. So then we get the boat over near it, and we're just like on eagle eye watch all the way around. With the net, or he's got the net.
Yeah.
And it comes back up again. We couldn't quite reach it. Third time it comes up, he nets it. I get the bait back, get the fish back. And then literally 10 minutes later, or 15 minutes later, we moved to another area, and that's when I picked off a dock and destroyed this thing. But I mean, yeah.
That was good times.
I got it back for 15 minutes before I blew it to pieces.
Yeah, it was destined to be gone.
Yeah, I should have let sleeping dogs lie. I didn't want to leave it in the fish's mouth.
True.
But I should have just sucked it up as a loss and known that the bait was gone forever.
Yeah.
Oh wait, there was another question. Wow, that's a hook. Champ Kind says, I catch fish that same size. Well, Champ, we might...
Whammy!
Whammy. We might change that.
Yeah.
One of these days here coming up.
Yeah, we're going to do a Champ Kind and Ron Burgundy fish off.
Yeah, for those, they're golfing buddies that we're gonna give them a crash course on fishing, and then...
Give them a boat.
And then give them a boat. And let the cameras roll and see what we end up with.
Yeah.
One-hand fishing, what would you recommend right now on Clear Lake? I've not been to Clear Lake. I do not doubt that they're not still on beds right now. Like,
oh, yeah,
they've been 100%. For a long time there.
Yeah, they 100% bed
if
for
you don't like bed
time.
fishing, you need to go to, like, if there's a bay or bedding or whatever it is, go to the outside points, the places they're going to go rest or move in from. I don't want to say Clear Lake's predictable for a lot of the months, but pretty much where you see the boats is where the fish are biting.
Yeah.
It's a horrible answer, but it's kind of true. Clear Lake, everybody's like vultures there.
Yeah.
Like it's called the bent rod pattern. I'm sure y'all have heard of it.
Charter chasing, basically.
What's your thought on changing tail color? I don't know. I've never played with it.
There is.
Even though I take the tails off, I never really play with it. I just run them.
The Shine Glides, these are, ow, that's a hook.
Yeah, hooks are sharp. Oh, that's the other thing is make sure you have sharp hooks.
Yes.
Because like I said, they will mouth it. If you do not have a sharp hook, that hook will just fall right back out of their mouth.
These are two different colors, right? Like, obviously, this one's a thread fin. I even have one of these ones that is a hitch. It's actual hitch color. Clear Lake hitch is the one, right? But is that the hitch?
I think this is the hitch one. Or no, this might be gizzard. Sorry.
That's gizzard, I think.
Yeah. Sorry.
But that thread fin is the one.
Yeah.
For up there, and
for Clear Lake, thread fin is
the color to throw up there.
More often than not.
Yeah, I would say. But there is times, especially post spawn, these glide baits are the thing. Pre-spawn, post spawn. Those fish, those bigger fish, are looking for that big meal prior to going into spawn, or coming out of spawn, they want to eat that big meal, something that's slow and going. And if you guys haven't ever like seen a trout on the side, swimming, these glide baits, it makes sense why they'll come up and hit these glide baits, because those trout are just moving slow on the surface of the water, right?
And if I was going to Clear Lake, these are the 3 baits that I would throw and rotate through.
Yeah.
This is River Sea Warden. This is light trout, and this is that thread fin. Honestly, I could go to that lake and throw these 3 and
you're
be completely content.
He's going to the Delta and throwing those 2, basically.
Yeah, I'll throw all 3 of these at Delta also.
Yeah.
Like, if you want to say my confidence baits,
right here.
Out of all of them, it's going to be these.
Right there.
The only addition that I'm going to add, and I shouldn't add, but I'm going to, is this is abalone.
Yeah.
On deep clear water lakes.
Yeah.
And I don't mean well, there are some Berryessa, but I'm talking foothill lakes.
Yeah.
With this
Motherlode.
Motherlode lakes.
Motherlode lakes.
Motherlode lakes. Throwing the abalone color. I think this is abalone.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah. The only exception to all that is, like Berryessa wise, is Party Crasher.
Yeah. Again, it's the 168, right? River to sea.
I mean, you can tell kind of the thing.
It's a thing. You'll get comfortable. You'll enjoy, like, you'll see fish, and then when they start eating it, it's an addiction that you can't get rid of.
If you can watch the shadows come up behind it, and then you just watch that shadow going, and you're just crawling that thing along, and all of a sudden it just can't take it no more, and you watch that shadow just blow up on it. Or the best one is when you're watching a shadow stalk it.
Yeah.
And that shadow is still stalking it, and one comes up from underneath it and just blows it out of the water. That's
There's a lot of times too, like pre-fishing Berryessa recently, we saw fish moving around, and they're in clear water, and I threw a glide out and bringing the glide back, and again I walked the 168, and there's the fish. The glide bait's going this way, the fish is going that way. Like, it's right behind it, just dancing with the glide bait all the way through. It sucks because they typically aren't going to bite at that moment, because at that point in time when you can see them, it's getting really close to the boat. They could get shy, or they could pin it against the boat.
Yeah, there's body movements. You'll notice if you throw them long enough, you could tell by the body language that comes up, and you could actually... Side note, that body language and the things that you can learn from throwing a glide bait, those same body languages you can see on forward scan, and you can relate the two to each other. They have similar body languages if you're staring at them. And
talking about differences that, like, for me and James, different rods, We typically throw the same reels, but he'll throw his glide baits on a fluoro.
Yeah, I have 50-pound braid to 20-pound fluoro leader.
Yeah, and I go 50-pound braid to 20-pound mono. So
And
mine's a little higher in the column.
if I'm on the Delta, I will switch to mono if I want to keep it up. That fluoro will let that bait drop down more.
Yep.
If you want to keep that bait up, you switch to mono. I'll be honest with you, I don't think I throw less than 20.
No.
For anything. And like I said, it's 50-pound braid.
Yeah.
So it's not like I'm not trying to finesse anything.
No.
They're there to eat a big meal. If an A-rig with a bunch of wires and blades on it, they don't care about that. I don't think they care about what color the line is. This is another bait. This is the Gantrel Junior. I have a couple different colors in this. This darker one, I'm not sure why it works better, but for some reason it does. I will throw this on Delta around the weed pockets and stuff. You'll actually get fish. I've caught striper on this before too.
Yeah.
Just out in the random. So I'm guessing that's just like they're looking for that profile kind of thing. I'm not exactly a fan of these feathered trebles, but I just run what's on it. I think it looks kind of goofy in the water. But other than that, the bait's really good. And it's not a typical glide bait. This is kind of like you have to play with this one to figure out what looks good to you or what works for you on the thing. This is kind of one of those ones I'm still learning a little bit about. But it'll definitely draw attention and get attention at Delta.
Yeah. 100%.
I'm sure it works in numerous places, but I don't have that experience. Anything else? I know you got more to add.
Me? You know, glide bait's a great search bait. It's hard to throw during a tournament because, you know.
Champ, it's glide, Glide bait, not live bait.
Live?
Yeah.
No.
No, he said live bait. He said, why is it called live bait?
No, glide.
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 Tomato.
Yeah. Whammy.
It is live bait because it does look like legit, like a fish swimming.
Yeah. But it is a great search bait, right? Like we were talking about earlier, going out and pre-fishing, throwing it over some stuff and just seeing what fish are in the area, right? Like you don't want to sore lip them, right? Or catch those fish because they're going to have a negative reaction to baits in that time frame, right? Like you don't want to do that. So just being able to see them, being like, okay, this is what's living here. Yes. And then going at it at different strategy, right?
Going back
during
at
the
them
tournament,
slower, or going back at them with a different. The one thing about glide bait fishing, like he's saying, is that plays into the helping of what he's talking about.
Right.
Is that most often than not, they're not willing to take a shot at this.
Right.
They'll follow it and they'll come look at it, but they don't want to take a shot at it. The days that they do take a shot at it, enjoy it, have fun.
Yeah.
Because that day is probably going to be gone tomorrow anyways.
Correct.
But like he's saying, you can use this because they're not willing to take a shot at it. They're willing to follow.
Just to see what's out there.
And show themselves.
Yeah.
And then you can actually use this as a search bait to eliminate water too.
Right.
So you're not just looking for fish or bigger fish. You're looking for areas that they don't even care. Not saying that there aren't fish there, but they aren't actively fish there.
Correct.
Champ says that Ron's going to need a life jacket.
Well,
during their little escapade.
Well, Ron almost fell in.
Ron needs a life jacket anyways. Because he likes to, he gravitates towards steering wheels. For some reason, he gravitates towards.
He did.
Taking a header into steering wheels on the way to
the
water.
There is a video on the channel on the Instagram.
On Instagram.
Yeah, one of the best videos.
Cody asks, is electric shad color soft swim bait a good color right now? Generally, yes.
Yeah.
I throw 5 different colors, and I think electric shad is similar to one of the colors I throw.
Yeah, it's close.
And
it's in that range.
Yeah, like your Pro Blue, or not Pro Blue. What's that one called? Something Pro something.
It's Pro Blue.
It might be Pro Blue. Those colors are kind of good generic shad colors.
Yeah.
They're always worth a try. Sometimes you need to go darker, sometimes you need to go lighter. So go glide bait, not soft swim bait.
Different times.
I would throw soft swim bait. If you want to actually get bit more often, you could throw a soft swim bait. If you want to have a really fun day and just get wrecked on a glide bait, you could throw a glide bait. It's kind of, it's your option. If it's a tournament, I may try the glide bait, but I'm going to stick to the swim bait far more than the glide bait.
Yeah.
I have weighed in fish from a glide bait in a tournament, but more often than not, they're a different way of doing it. I'm just using the glide bait as a search bait.
Yeah, you're not gonna get as many bites, right? Like you're gonna be looking for that 1 or 2, 3, hopefully 5 bites, right? But realistically, 1 or 2 good bites with a glide bait compared to like a soft swim bait.
Yeah. Ron Burgundy responds and says, "Champ isn't the sharpest tool in the shed."
Oh.
Shots fired.
Shots fired, yeah. Well, I've seen them both golf, and they do levitate towards the water.
Oh, well,
especially Champ Kind.
Maybe this comment expands it. Champ Kind says, "Been at the batting cages all day." Maybe that's why he gravitates towards the water.
Yeah.
I have a baseball swing golf too, so. I'm not saying you do, but I know I do. Ron Burgundy, I'm happy to see Red finally made it to the live podcast. Now they are the Yin Yang Bros. Hold on. I think he's Yang, I'm Yin.
Probably. I wonder what lake we should put them on. What body of water? We can't put them on the delta.
So if you guys were to put 2 people who barely know, like they've seen it once on YouTube, fishing wise,
pretty much.
Where would be the best place to take them to?
And give them a boat.
And then just give them a boat where they can't. We'll probably just have to make a rule saying they can't turn the trolling motor up higher than 3.
Yeah, well, they would throw themselves off the front of the boat.
Yeah, and then watch them train wreck. Because I would say put them in the docks at Clear Lake and let them mess around with docks. But then you could kind of mess up a boat if you ream a dock too hard.
Yeah, ream a dock. Take metal right down the cowling of your boat.
Yeah, I didn't think about it. I don't know. We're gonna have to figure it out.
Yeah.
Or we put them out in the middle and make them figure out how to get to shore, like with the trolling motor.
We could put them out on like Lucerne area, like at Clear Lake, because that's a lot of. It's shallow, but there's not very many docks. Like they can't get into the dock area there. Might be an idea.
Yeah, we're gonna have to play with that one. Do you prefer a reel with a bail or push button casting? For these, 100% push button. Lose, Super Duty, 300 or 200.
Yeah.
Depending on which way you go. If you're throwing the 168, a 200 all day, no problem. You have 0 problems with it. Or like the Gantrel Junior. Those smaller baits, realistically, you can kind of just get away with. One of his rods is like a light A-rig rod.
Yeah.
The ocean gets volunteers the ocean to put them in.
Oh, put them in the ocean. Oh yeah,
that would be.
There's great whites out there.
They'd be out there singing Baby Shark.
Yeah, I'm not putting my bass boat in salt water though.
Yeah, that might be
way too many moving parts.
Blue Lakes.
Oh, the Blue Lakes right above.
Yeah, Blue Lakes. Actually, that's not because they can't big motor then.
Yeah,
that actually wouldn't be Actually, I kind of like that idea. We might have to play with that one.
I feel like we should just unhook the battery to the big motor.
Rancho Seco, no big motor. Rancho Seco, is that... Can we get a boat on Rancho Seco? Like is it trolling motor only, that lake? I'm trying to remember which one's
trolling motor
Rancho
only
Seco.
that is Area 51.
Yeah, we could do Area 51.
Area 51. That's a thing.
Yeah, we could do Area 51. And there's definitely active fish that are slightly less pressured.
Slightly less.
There's people who definitely know where that place is.
But Area 51...
Lake Tahoe. And then Champ and I control for the hotties.
That's right.
Wrong. Hey, that's hanging the wrong rod out.
Yes. You need a
I don't know how good it would look on
stamp for that one.
I don't know how good that would look on a video if both of you guys got that rod out on the boat where it's just the two of you on the boat.
Yeah. I really think they want to go to Clear Lake though.
I think Clear Lake would be fun.
For the
Champ kind, I'm a pond guy. This is a pond guy.
Well, Clear Lake is basically a pond. The deepest water is like 40 feet.
Yeah. Yeah, it's only 8 feet deep.
It's only 8 feet deep.
Yeah, so Rancho Seco's trolling motor only. So yeah, maybe that
We
too.
have some options.
Yeah, we got some options.
We want things. Idea. We want a place where they're going to catch some fish, but also
not hurt themselves too bad.
Yes, not get hurt, right? Like, somebody's never ran a trolling motor before. We're not going to put them in the Delta.
Yeah, that would be with the current, the wind, all that stuff.
Yeah,
Yeah. And if we go to Clear Lake, we could always stop by the Wrinkle Room afterwards. The Wrinkle Room is a fabulous place.
Yes.
Where if you're 60 years old, you are probably one of the youngest ones there.
Yeah. Alcohol is cheap.
It's cheap alcohol.
That's good times.
As far as...
And if you know about it, you know about it.
Yeah, it's up at Clear Lake, the Wrinkle Room. You just ask the locals. They literally call it
the Wrinkle Room.
The Wrinkle Room, but it's not the actual name. You can't Google that. The big ones are in there at Rancho Seco. Oh, yeah. Okay, I know where Rancho Seco is now. Yeah. That actually, yeah. We might do that. It'd either be that or Clear Lake. Because one of the guys, I think, has a... Anyways, we'll figure that out. Ron Burgundy votes Wrinkle Room.
Yeah, I don't doubt it. He's been there.
Yeah. And Matt Allen's 17 was on a Huddleston in Rancho Seco. I don't think he actually says Rancho Seco, though.
Not a very big lake.
Blind Squirrel Channel logs on. What's happening? Yeah. Bring your own bobber to the Wrinkle Room.
Yeah.
The only bait I haven't talked about that's kind of in my collection is the Thunderhawk. This bait is kind of the chop style bait. It's actually pretty well balanced. I was throwing this bait before I switched to that 6 cents flow glider. I actually use that flow glider in place of this bait now. But this isn't a bait that you really need to sleep on or anything like that. So definitely something to take a look at. Again, this is a budget bait. I'm not one for spending buku moolah on it. Although I do have a Chad. I have yet to catch a fish on this. In fairness, I've probably only thrown it like 20 minutes so far.
Yeah.
But this summer it'll get some working on. I think that's pretty much it. I don't want to let you guys hang around too long. We've definitely gone off into the weeds.
Yeah.
We have other ideas of other people who are non-bass fishing people and giving them a crash course and pushing them out on the water and seeing what happens.
Yeah.
Kind of would be, I'm just curious, like you kind of get used to being on the water a lot. Like, what do we take for granted that we know or do that other people may not? So And I think it'd be kind of funny.
Ron Burgundy says, Champ and I are up to the challenge. It's going to be a great time. I say we go somewhere, stay there for the weekend, and just see what happens.
Steve Summer, guys, I've thrown the jackall worm forever. I know y'all like it too. What's the deal with Sorry Steve? I have a video in the past that explains Sorry Steve. If you go back in my archives, basically, I'll give you the shortest rundown version of it. There's a guy in the club named Steve. I kept catching fish off of that bait. There's a whole story with all of that though. And it got to the point that I said, sorry, Steve, every time I caught a fish.
Yeah, he was asking, hey, what would you catch it on?
I was just telling the story, and then he actually was the one that kind of started calling it that.
Yeah.
I just was telling the story of it.
Yeah.
So that's why we call it Sorry Steve. And for those of you who don't know, it's the Jackall 4.8 flick shake worm in watermelon candy.
If you guys are throwing that, throw it out and dead stick it, let it fall all the way to the ground. Just
dead stick it.
Dead stick it, let it go to the ground. Wait a second, lift up. You'll probably have a fish on.
Yeah.
It works.
Yeah, there's something about that bait. That bait was actually designed to be on like a little round ball head and wacky rigged on a ball head, and you just crawl it across the bottom, kind of like how you would crawl a Ned rig or like a Nico, where you just kind of slow pull it and let it sit, slow pull it and let it sit. So it's actually designed to be wacky rigged. So if you wacky rig that on a drop shot and then you give it that time to just slowly, like the weight hits and then you give it that time to flutter and just lay on the bottom.
Yeah.
I don't know what it is. Spots love it. Largemouth love it.
Go with a lighter drop shot weight. The lighter weight, I throw, again, mono. Yeah. So mine falls a little bit slower than what James's falls, and we use the same weight.
Yeah.
But let it fall in front of the fish. You'll actually watch them go over to it when they see it falling.
Yeah. You can actually watch. It's kind of, if you watch on forward scan, you cast out, you can see your drop shot dropping down, and you'll see a fish like come up like this and then follow it down, and then you just wait and you give it like 10, 20 seconds, and then all of a sudden you see your line moving. Like it takes them that long to suck it off the bottom. Sometimes they literally come up and smoke it and don't even let it hit the bottom.
Yeah.
But it'll take that long. You just see your line slowly swimming off, or you pull up on it and your line's like the slack in the line comes towards the boat. And if you're like Eric Lau, who's in the comments right now, the fish is under the boat when he casts it up there before he realizes it's coming down.
Well, he was dead sticking it.
Yeah, I mean, you're dead sticking it, but he was really dead sticking it.
Yeah. But
he's catching fish.
It is like, I would say, one of my go-to baits. Like if it's hard, if it's slow, if it's working, you could just go down a bank and blind cast it out there, and you'll catch fish.
Yeah, yeah. Steve Sumner says, I still use the inchy wacky jigs, super finesse. Yeah, that is definitely finesse, and it's got it too.
Yeah.
Like they I don't know who designed it, but I thank them every time. I think I don't always have a fish in the boat from that in a tournament, but
it's a lot of
feel like I do.
And kind of crazy, that bait works every lake here in Northern California and like all year long. Like there's not a time where
there's one time of the year in fall where there's super high, like in Berryessa that is, and I've seen it in one other lake. When they're super, super focused on shad, they won't eat it then.
Right.
But it's like 2 to 3 weeks out of the year.
Yeah.
Other than that, and even in that, you can change positions or change fishing locations to a different location and still get bit.
Yeah.
But if they're super fixated on shad, You can't always get bit on Sorry Steve, but other than that, it always seems at least save the day.
Delta, Clear
Delta,
Lake,
for sure.
Berryessa, Comanche, New Melones.
Yeah, I got 2 different lakes in Tennessee and Coeur d'Alene in Idaho. All caught fish on Sorry Steve.
Yeah.
I don't ask.
Orville.
I just trust the magic. I missed the wacky rig bait you guys were talking about. It's Jackall Flick Shake, 4.8.
Watermelon candy.
Watermelon candy is the best color that they make. There's another called pumpkin pepper.
Yep.
And
that one works.
Bluegill.
Yeah, it's a bluegill color. That one works also.
Yeah, those are the 3 best colors out of those that they make.
There's another one that they make that it's hard to find.
Yeah, there's a discontinued color that they have because no one would talk about it, and
called camouflage.
Yeah, it's called camouflage, and no one would talk about it, so now it's discontinued, and that's what I'm trying to do with the watermelon candy is to make sure it never goes discontinued.
Yeah, I buy like 10 packs at a time, put them all together, do a big old bundle. Just start pulling them out. Start fishing.
Alicia Reyes, 100% go-to bait. I will, however, say it failed me in Clear Lake last weekend. Oh, in Clearwater. Oh, I was going to say, she went to Clear Lake last weekend.
I know, I was going to say, you went to Clear Lake and didn't tell nobody?
Clearwater. Failed me in Clearwater last weekend. Yeah, it'll usually get there. It'll usually get there. It'll get that bite. It's not a foolproof, but it's definitely there.
Definitely something I'll put on there.
Champ and Ron, if you guys aren't reading the comments from Champ and Ron, I cannot repeat them, so you should go back and read them. Jackall Flick Shake is what it is. Actually,
yeah, go get it.
Keep talking.
But yeah, no. Get out there, throw that bait. Throw some glide baits. Buy some glide baits. Even the River to Sea glide baits, the 168, they're good baits. They will catch you some fish. At least you're going to see some fish, and then you're going to start learning, right? Like, what can you do with it, right? Like what I'm talking about by pumping the reel. I'm only giving it half turns just to get it to walk, and I like it to go like that. James, he swims it, and it's just swimming, right? A constant retrieve. And a lot of times those fish will come up there and follow it, hit it, but you'll learn a lot about it.
Yeah, you don't always need to throw all the crazy shakes and Twixes and all that stuff in there. This is what the package looks like. Obviously, there's not as many in there.
I think it comes with like 10.
It comes with like 8 or 10 or something like that. I literally buy them like 20 at a time and then throw them all in one big package. But this is what the package looks like. Not everywhere carries it, they used to. But it's definitely on like Tackle Warehouse and stuff like that. Headed to Clear Lake tomorrow. Yeah, like I said, probably bed fishing. Bed fishing or up in the sticks. It's probably where they're going to be most of that.
I would throw like a mag draft freestyle.
Abby asked, who makes the shad shine glide? That is Savage Gear.
Yeah, Savage Gear.
Savage Gear makes the shine glide. This is the regular one, and there's a Magnum one. I do not throw the Magnum. I throw the regular one. This is like a 7-inch bait.
Yeah.
Actually, I think it's Shine Glider 185.
Yeah.
So it's the 185 that we throw. So it's like a 7. It's something you don't have to have. It's like right on that level of needing a dedicated glide rod.
Yeah, it's like right there. Like it's heavy.
A little bit heavy.
It's heavy. Well, like if you could throw a 168 River to Sea, you put that on, you could still throw it. It's a little heavy for the rod, but you could throw it.
Yeah, but you can get away with it.
Yeah.
But if you have a dedicated glide rod, it's a little bit better for it. But you can still kind of, it's like right at the edge of that where you kind of need a dedicated rod for it. Anybody here fish Don Pedro?
Yes.
We fish Don Pedro. We just haven't lately. Our club has not picked Don Pedro. I actually want to make a trip to Tulloch and some other stuff that's down in that area. There's another one I can never remember the dang name of. It'll come up in videos hopefully this summer or somewhere around there.
4.8.
4.8s are always out on Tackle Warehouse. Yeah,
yes,
they definitely are. They definitely sell for a reason. They're really good baits. That's 4.8s of the Flick Shakes.
Stay classy.
Ron Burgundy signing out. Eric Lau says, I'm down for that. Let's go. Yeah, kind of. I like breaking down new lakes.
Yeah.
Next video is actually going to be Berryessa recap. Like the whatchamacallit, like my normal straight talk video will be for Berryessa, going out there with Alicia, and we're just gonna go have fun. We're gonna stick to Main Lakeside.
McClure is one of them.
McClure is the name I was looking for. Thank you, Sumner. McClure is the other place that I want to go to. And then the week after that will be Oroville for a tournament recap, or the straight talk for the tournament and what works at Oroville.
Yeah.
I do not in any way think that I will be short on fish catches.
No.
For Oroville.
No.
That is definitely a spotted bass lake that's healthy right now.
Yeah.
It has a ton of fish. I have not fished there. He just fished there.
Yeah.
And yeah, it's just going to be all about getting that bigger bite, which is how our topic of tonight came about. Is because Friday when I'm pre-fishing, you will be dang sure I will have this glide bait in my hand, throwing and watching on forward scan to see what comes up and looks at it.
Yep.
Between that and an A-rig.
I got to replace the A-rig rod.
Yeah, you involuntarily made yours 2-piece.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've done that to a couple of rods this year.
Yeah.
I think that's pretty much it, guys. I'd like to thank every one of you guys that's watching. I definitely appreciate it. If you have topics of anything else that you would like to see me talk about, you can always hit me up on Instagram. When this video gets re-released to regular YouTube, you can leave a comment on there of what other topics you'd like to see.
Yep.
I just like being able to ramble and babble about stuff. I mean, it's fishing. Who doesn't like that? So, anything you need to add?
No. No.
All right. Until next time, I hope you get them.
Bye, guys.
Bye, buddy. Hope you find your